All right, I'm going to apologize in advance for the rant that is about to take place. Exfil is a game that just came out into early access. It is a bare bones, like, internal development tech demo that is being sold on Steam in early access for $30. You're 4 teams of 8 taking over a point, grabbing intel, and then exfilling. There's not a lot of people playing the game, probably because it's a bare bones tactical FPS that's charging $30 for it. But this is the cycle over and over. I have recorded this video 7 or 8 times trying to talk about the game, talk about the features, but there is nothing going on here that I think is redeemable or even worthwhile to fucking buy into at this time. And the thing is, I think a lot of people actually realize it. What happened is a couple days ago, I got an email from Microprose saying, hey, we're now publishing this game called Exfil. And I thought, Exfil, I played that game several months ago during Steam Next Fest. Went back and watched the video, and I said back then that the premise was cool, but the game was fucking dog shit. From the gunplay to the visuals to the points of interest, the map design itself, everything about it was bare bones. But back then, it was a Steam Next Fest demo, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens. I said they were making a mistake with the fact that they wanted to launch into early access and then have it done by the end of the year, which was just impossible. Now, the game is out in early access on Steam, $30, and they're saying the game is going to be done in 2026. I'm playing the game, I'm looking around, and I'm saying there is no fucking way this game is going to be done in 2 years. If you were to launch this December 31st, 2026, I can almost guarantee you it wouldn't be as polished as it needs to be a fully fledged video game in a 1.0 state. There is just too much to do, from making your maps way fucking better than they already are, from the UI design, from the gunplay itself, the player controller. There is little to no animations in the gameplay at all. You are just running around empty forests with trees in them, shooting at other enemies, trying to exfil on a helicopter. And that is essentially it. The game loop is so bare bones. That being said, there is a cool premise somewhere in here that, with a lot of refinement and a lot of work and a lot of blood, sweat, tears, money, resources, and development time, they could turn this into something very, very cool. But are we getting sick and tired of talking about games that, with all the stars aligning, and though you can see the Big Dipper coming down to your house and fucking scooping you up and taking you to the heavens, then the game will be good? I've had enough talking about games that, if everything lines up perfectly in a perfect world and everything goes swimmingly smooth, the game will be good. Because that's where Exfil is right now. Much like Marauders, Ground Branch, Operator, much like there's a myriad of games. Beyond the Wire, Dead, fucking Squad 44. I think they're starting to make a comeback now after how many fucking years being called Postscriptum. There's so many tactical games that are sitting there either on the verge of being killed off or just like slinking their bodies to a finish line that doesn't currently exist, because there's so much work that has to go into these games to make them worthwhile for people to buy into. Exfil is yet another game in a long fucking line of games that I have covered on this channel for years that keep doing the same fucking things over and over again, putting themselves out so early on, charging astronomical amounts of money. And according to the developers themselves here, $30 isn't a lot of money for a video game nowadays. Yeah, you're right. If the video game is good, if the video game had actual promise, if the video game was further along in development and not what I would consider an internal prototype for development use only. I don't get how we're going into 2025 and we're seeing the same mistakes repeated over and over and over again. I said this with Gray Zone Warfare earlier this year. Gray Zone Warfare compared to Exfil today looks like it was made by fucking Rockstar. And here we are, Exfil, $30, not a lot of money according to the developers, but what do you get? You get a few maps that you can run around in, shoot other enemies in a very bare bones, minimal state. There's a loadout system where you can customize your weapons in, again, a very minimal, like bare bones state. You can throw sights on it, and that's really about it. There's a couple of different gadgets, different grenades, but this is all par for the course when it comes to FPSs nowadays. It's nothing groundbreaking at all. There's voice chat, there's the extraction element where you can pick up an item, go to an exfil, call in a helicopter, and leave. Sick, dude. And what's crazy is when I talk about games like Delta Force, which in my opinion just offers so much more, from gameplay to modes to just actual polish and development time, which also, by the way, hashtag not sponsored, hashtag not an ad, hashtag FTC compliant. People hate it in my comment section. The amount of people that are calling that game mediocre, but will then turn to a game like this and be like, whoa, why aren't you talking about this game over here? It blows my fucking mind when I have people asking me why I'm not talking about Exfil. Guys, because there's nothing to talk about. It's a $30 bare bones prototype build that, in my opinion, shouldn't be put out on Steam yet. You have 4 teams of 8, a 32-player server, and you can just barely get 2 full servers at one time because you priced yourselves out of the fucking market that you're trying to capture. And according to the developers, they don't want to make the same mistakes that Gray Zone Warfare did, and that's getting a bunch of people flooding to the game at one time and then not having anything there to show for it. They would much rather slowly grow over time, which, okay, fair enough. Why did you charge $30 for it? Was that the plan, was to like put a big price tag on it so you don't bring in a lot of people? I'm confused, genuinely confused. Now, the one thing that I think this game does have going for it isn't even in the game itself, but it's in one of the people working on the game. It's being developed by a bunch of tactical FPS veterans, one who was a co-founder of OWI, who obviously developed Squad in the early days of the game. It looks like he's trying to recapture the magic and do it again with another tactical FPS. And I don't want to discount the work that these guys are going to have to do over the next few years to get this game to a functioning, playable state that's actually worth people's time and money. The problem is there are so many things that could go wrong between here and there that could throw this entire thing off track. And yet again, $30 for another bare bones tactical FPS in a long line of bare bones tactical FPSs that do nothing but ask you for money to believe in a vision and a dream. And it's just tiring. And I'm sorry that Exfil had to be the one that broke the camel's back for me here. I am so sick and tired of seeing the exact same games be put out on Steam and have content creators hype them up as the next coming of Christ, while watching these tactical creators then call people like me a shill because I play games like Delta Force, to then play it myself to be like, what are we looking at? Are we playing the same games? And I will say, the bar that I could give a game like Exfil is like, at least it's not as broken as a game like Direct Contact. And it's like, that's not a compliment, but it is here because that is where you're at in the fucking ladder of tactical FPSs. I don't get why we're here. How are we here? The fuck's going on? Guys, Exfil might be good in 3 or 4 years. I hope it is. Cool? All right. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.